I know people are going to want to know what we think is going to happen next. And obviously, we don't know. And the wind blows in a certain direction, and we try to make decisions based upon that. Well, the wind can change suddenly, as we found on Friday, when it looked like it was moving toward a full season suspension. And maybe they were just trying to get Watson to realize it was going to be a full season suspension to get to the point where they settle it. But I was talking to somebody on Friday afternoon thinking, okay, so it's 12, and I don't think Watson's willing to go to 12. I mean, I think this is going to be, if it settles, I don't know that it will, I think it's going to be 10, and it's going to be a fine between 5 and 10. Not all the way to 10, because $10 million is every penny he earned last year in salary. And they need to start making the case that taking away $10 million is the equivalent of treating all of last year as a suspension after the fact. They need to start saying that. Yeah. They need to start getting people to understand that, because too many people think he wouldn't have played anyway. No, the only reason he didn't play, he would have played for the Dolphins last year if he didn't have this off-field issue. He was de facto on paid leave last year because the Dolphins wouldn't trade for him with this cloud hanging over him legally. So you take away his money that he made last year, and you treat last year like it was a suspension after the fact. So 10 and 10, maybe 10 and 8, something like that to resolve it, if the league is willing to go down to that point and if Watson is willing to go up to that point. Because just because they're circling now the possibility of doing a deal doesn't mean they're going to do a deal.
Yeah.
But I would say it's going to take 10. It's got to be double digits. It's going to be 10, and it's going to be a fine in the neighborhood of 10, maybe a little bit less than 10. If it settles, I think that's where it's going to be.
If you're Deshaun Watson, I mean, I don't know. I know that's $10 million. I'm running to the table and saying yes. Eight games, $10 million. Boom, I'm in. Let's go. You know, again, for the amount of money he's going to make over the next few years, again, it's significant. I understand that, but it's a drop in the bucket, and it's not going to change his life one bit. And if I were him, I would settle with that for sure. If that gets to that point, but it's the NFL, and I just don't know if I really see that happening. I don't know. I don't. NFL, I just would be shocked if all of a sudden it went to 8. I really would. I just, it seems like, I just can't imagine it. I guess I'd be a little surprised.
If the interest in settling the case is flowing from the very strong desire by folks like Robert Kraft, Jerry Jones, maybe even Daniel Snyder, although he's got enough issues to be concerned about now. But those were the 3 owners who were dragged into the hearing before Judge Robinson and escaped the 16-page ruling with just a general comment and a footnote that didn't nearly do the kind of damage that maybe it could have or should have. In federal court, maybe it will. If that's the thing that's getting the NFL to back off, from Watson's perspective, he's got to recognize, look, the only reason they don't want to go to court is because they don't want to have to deal with these owners being dragged through the legal mud. They ultimately think they're going to win, and I know every once in a while I get some blowback. We got a strong case. We're going to go to court, and we're going to. Listen, you're going to lose. Why would you think you're going to win? I keep going back to this. We had court cases, we had fights in the last decade. They go to the bargaining table in 2020. They make specific adjustments to the personal conduct policy. They still agree, the union does, to let the commissioner or his designee have final say over the process. There's nothing in there about any deference being given to the decision of Judge Robinson. The only thing they have to accept are her factual findings, and her factual findings are exactly what they need to throw them out of the league for a year. I don't know why they think they're going to win in court. The only thing that benefits them about going to court is it gives them another chance to drag some of these other owners through the mud. And I'm not saying it's unjustified. There is a disparity in how the league treats owners and players. And let's not lose sight of that. We know what the league would like to do to Deshaun Watson. But yeah, to the extent that there would be a federal case, Chris, where they point out how some get a pass if you're an owner of a team, or your punishment isn't nearly what it should be or could be, and players get a much stronger outcome. Yeah, I'm sitting front row for that with popcorn. If that argument's going to be made, if the NFL is going to be forced to treat players and owners with the same standard, it should be. So if that's the only reason why I think a settlement's on the table, I think the NFL wants to avoid that reckoning, at least for now.
Yeah, I can understand that. But, yes. But like we said, it's not exactly apples to apples there. And, we've talked about this over
Agreed.
the last 2 weeks. So it is a little different. And I don't want to go down that path and trying to compare each to each other here and all of that. But either way, I understand that case, and I understand your point. You're right. The NFL does not want to be, dragged through the mud there and have to deal with some of their things that are the skeletons in their closet and bring that out to the public view. That certainly wouldn't be something that the owners or the Shield wants.
Let me make this point, and then we'll move on to what happened over the weekend with the game and the aftermath and what the Browns do need to be worried about when they go on the road with Deshaun Watson whenever the suspension ends. The Robert Kraft case is the one that gets mentioned most commonly with Deshaun Watson because at the core, it's the same activity. It's the massage that turns into a sexual encounter. But obviously, now look, Robert Kraft was charged. The charges were dismissed, but he was never accused of doing anything to exert any pressure of nonviolent sexual assault. That was never even on the table.
Right.
That was not part of it. It was just the act of being involved in a massage that becomes a sexual encounter that crosses the line into prostitution. That's it. Okay. Watson's case, far different. But here's the one that I think the NFL should be concerned about. The NFL should be concerned about the notion that in 2015, Rich Dalrymple, then the right-hand man of Jerry Jones, went into the cheerleaders' locker room at AT&T Stadium and secretly filmed cheerleaders while they were changing clothes. We don't know why. We don't know who knew about it. We don't know who told him to do it. It was never explored. It was never examined. All we know is the Cowboys coughed up $2.4 million, and as best I can tell, never told the league about it at the time, which is a no-no. You're supposed to. You have a mandate under the personal conduct policy to let the league know of any potential violation. And if you're paying $2.4 million to 3 cheerleaders who allegedly were being secretly filmed by a top executive of the team while they were changing clothes, that's probably something that should be shared with the league. And now here we are 7 years later, it comes to light, and Chris, the league puts its head in the sand and does nothing. Nothing. That's the one I'd be worried about if I was sitting in a big office at 345 Park Avenue right now, because that's the one that was completely unexplored, unscrutinized, and is crying out for further investigation. That's the one. That's the one that is far more similar to Kraft, because it involves misconduct directed to women, even though there was no, again, it's apples and oranges, but it's off of the same poisonous tree.
Yeah,
that's the one. That's the one that you could really make some hay with if you get to court.
Yeah, well, listen, Mike, I'm going to bring back my favorite phrase from 2 weeks ago. Yeah, that seemed like a coup d'etat there for sure. I don't know. I've never seen issues get swept under the rug and fall off the radar quicker than they do there in Dallas sometimes. And I think there's even other issues that we could go, how did nobody still talking about that? Where did that go, that subject? So, I don't know. The fix is in there. I don't really know or understand how, but yes, certainly fishy. I'm with you there, Michael.
Hi, I'm Mike Tirico, and thanks for watching. Make sure to hit subscribe for the latest news and highlights from NBC Sports.